Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Pensive Politics with Mr. Watson. I am most certainly, forever and eternally your host, Christian Watson. It is so great to be with you guys today. Today is the day, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the day that the American experiment discerns its destiny, or part of its destiny. Today is the day in which this country, or the executive government of this country more so, discerns its temperament. Today is a consequential day. But unfortunately, Election Day should not be a consequential day. And that'll be one of the subjects of our podcast today. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have to get this. The American government was never meant to be an all-encompassing force. The American government was never meant to be an imposition upon us, or a guide, a paradigm, a lens, by which our destinies trail forth. The American government was never meant to occupy the station in existence that it currently occupies. The American government was never meant to rival the influence of its former peers, of the British Empire, of France, of the old mindsets of Europe. The American government was never meant for such a fate, never meant for such a destiny, my friend. The American government was constructed upon a groundwork of principles that flowed from the minds of the founders. James Madison, that brilliant essay on property. That property is not merely your economic possessions, but it is that value to which every right attaches, which flowed from that brilliant Philippic, that fiery rage, that righteous ire that bellowed up from the belly of Patrick Henry and roused an entire congressional body, an entire legislative body of decadents and of people who were complacent into action to fight back against the perils of a wretched king. That American spirit, which flows from the tip top of Mount Vernon, which flows from that brilliant pen, the mind substance that came onto the paper and was inscribed into reality by Thomas Jefferson. The American experiment, my friends, had clear prescriptions for what it was meant to do and what it was meant to be. And unfortunately, those prescriptions are being violated, they're being destroyed, they're being throttled, and they're being ripped apart by our new adulation of the false deity of government. But before I get into all of that, let me say, as I always do at the beginning of my podcast, everyone, I am doing well. I am alright, school's going fine. I have not been assailed by the coronavirus quite yet, which is very interesting considering the fact that I went to a Trump rally, but I was safe. I had a mask on, I did everything in my power to make sure that I was being safe and shielding myself from the perils of infection, but I did those things as a result of my own will. Yeah. So as a result of my own will, I did those things. The problem with the mask orthodoxy, which is so commonplace in American society, it doesn't care about the will. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about what you want to do. It cares about the requirements by which the overall authority, or the supposed authority over you, wants you to instill, as opposed to the requirements that may actually be beneficial to your health. Of course, we see the health czars and these Politburo-esque institutions continue to change the goalpost on what you're supposed to do. And of course, novel diseases, their nature includes progression and contingency, and we understand that. But public policy that affects the lives of millions of people and could possibly lead to rights violations and are fundamentally unethical should not at all be based on contingency. We should already know the method by which to discern their viability for our American experiment. We should already know the method by which to make sure that what is going on with those policies does not contravene me as an individual. We should already know these things. These things, my friends, we know, but guess what? Guess what? We choose not to listen. And so what I want to encourage you guys to think of today, what do we know about the current state of this election? Well, we know that cities across the nation are boarding up their shops, boarding up their businesses. People are running in fear. People are paralyzed by fear. People are concerned of civil unrest. People are concerned about the fate of their familiar relationships. Families are getting severed apart by whoever they supported. A friend of mine, Brad Palumbo, put on his Twitter page today, "America is sick," and he retweeted a tweet of course of an article that says that someone disgraced and severed their mother from their lives because their mother supported someone differently than them politically. But I say, ladies and gentlemen, that America is not the root of the sickness. I say, ladies and gentlemen, that America is not the problem. I say that the possession of the self and the consequent subordination to the other is that ill which rings forth despair in American politics. That is the ill by which people do not understand the true nature of things and do not conduct themselves prudently or wisely. That is the ill that we need to combat against as both Americans and human beings. That is the ill by which that we must understand things should not be. That is the backdrop of any metric by which we compare things with. That is what we need to know. America's not sick. A good majority of people, over 100 million people in this country, are decidedly apolitical. This election has kind of changed that because we had highest voter registration. The amount of ballots cast in this election supersedes the amount of ballots cast for Donald Trump alone. That is a record-shattering figure. More and more Americans are being sucked into the please vote orthodoxy. They're being sucked into the sort of legitimization of these abuses that the government so wantonly and vivaciously carries around. Americans are being sucked into their own demise by this voting system. Christian, you don't support voting. Hey. Don't put words in my mouth. I, myself, for the first time in my life, voted this November. Or I tried to. I forgot to sign the back of my absentee ballot, and so it's not going to be valid anymore. So I tried to, but I made the attempt, okay? I made the attempt. And if you guys have an absentee ballot, you listen to my voice, please go out there and make sure that your absentee ballot is signed properly. You dot all the T's, cross all the I's, because if you're going to participate in the continuation of the Republic, make sure that you actually can do that by not messing up on small things. Okay? Okay. But I don't hate voting. I dislike the legitimacy it gives to our current system. The government itself is a legitimate thing. Yes, I agree. But the abuses that the government has perpetuated through whether it be progressive coercion or whether it be conservatives not standing up to who they truly are, not being who they truly are. I hate that perpetuation of both inauthenticity and destruction, and voting appears to me to be an assent to that perpetuation. This does not mean please don't vote. This means try to understand the underlying principles of the system by which you assent to every time you cast a ballot, every time you sign a ballot. Try to understand what you are doing and try to do your best to fight it, because if you don't fight it, who's going to fight it? If you don't fight it, who's going to fight it? If the American people do not stand up and say, I will not accept this chaotic order, this chaotic action that continues, irregardless of either party, irregardless of either candidate, I will not accept the continued destruction that it does to me and my country. If the American people were to say that, and they say that resolutely, what would happen? What would happen? A change would happen. And guess what? That's what they were trying to say with Donald Trump. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'll go there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's what they were trying to say with the election of Donald Trump. People say, how could we ever elect Trump? Well, how do you think? Stop being ignorant. Stop willfully subordinating yourself to mediocrity, and put on your thinking cap that you got from your university, that you got from that 4-year expensive degree, that you get from being connected to all these people. Put on your thinking cap. You had the Tea Party in 2010, which said, we are tired of socialism being forced upon us by the sphere of government. We are tired of being forced to get into these unlawful, unethical, and inefficient healthcare exchanges. We are tired of where the Obama administration is taking us. So we're going to rise up and we're going to fight. We're going to channel that spirit from Paul Revere through the ages, and we're going to push into this era so that we can cement the goals of our founding in a more profound and concrete way. We're going to engage in some philosophical action and put people into the halls of Congress who share our vision, who share our methods, who share our purposes. The Tea Party was virtuous. Don't let anyone tell you differently. The Tea Party was virtuous. Don't you let a single person tell you differently. Don't you let anyone tell you differently. The Tea Party was virtuous as... I can't curse. I'm on the radio. I can't curse. But you know what I mean. There's this pernicious argument that says, so the Tea Party was a racist reaction to Barack Obama's... Oh, no, it wasn't. No. What the Tea Party was, it was a righteous reaction predicated upon principle to violations of principle that came from the government that is meant to instill and protect principles. That's what that was. So the Tea Party happens. Walk with me here. The Tea Party happens. And then John Boehner, one of their legislative hierarchs, gets into office, makes these awful deals, passes these terrible omnibus spending bills, deals with these progressives and doesn't really fight against them as he promised to, deals with President Obama on several things, does not use the power of the purse to stop a ballooning federal deficit, $15 trillion in debt. Now, when Barack Obama left office, we were between $17 and $20 trillion in debt. John Boehner, one of the hierarchs of this entire ordeal, didn't do anything of substance to actually herald the principles by which he was elected. People call them rhinos. Hey, no. They do exactly what their party, at that point in time, wants to do. I don't like the term rhino or dino, Democrat name only, right? I don't like that. Because it implies that parties and intrinsic in parties are ideologies. No, ideologies are secondary to parties. Parties are primarily concerned with governance and governance only. And guess what? You can govern without an ideology. Or you can govern with a very rudimentary understanding of an ideology. Parties are not necessarily intrinsically linked with ideologies, my friend. Oh, my God. You guys gotta hear what I'm saying. I'm trying to communicate something with you. These are truths that you're not hearing anywhere else. John Boehner wasn't a rhino. He was a Republican. He wasn't a conservative. He wasn't a libertarian. He wasn't a principled man. But he was a Republican. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And so when that happens, what happens afterwards? Well, Donald Trump comes along and says, well, the system's messed up. It's rigged against you. I'm going to fix it. He breaks all the... But see, Ted Cruz said that too. And a lot of people didn't trust Ted Cruz. Donald Trump slashed conventions in half. He slashed expectations in half. He recreated the context in which presidential candidates both act and speak. He threw the baby out with the bathwater and everything else. With its crib, its cradle, he just threw the entire thing out. And then what happened? People who someone thought could not win ascended to power, and he has been crushing conventions ever since, regardless of what you think of him. I'm not making a value judgment about Donald Trump. Hey, I, Christian Watson, am not making a value judgment about Donald J. Trump. I am not. What I am saying is, you shouldn't be wondering why he's in this place that he's in right now. So this election, my friends, is more than just, oh, did you vote? Oh, America will be destroyed if Biden wins. Oh, America can't survive without Trump. Oh, no, let's go beyond that. This election is about rights preservation versus rights destruction, simply put. But I'm not sure you can find a coherent answer in either candidate. But I am certain you cannot find a coherent iota of Biden's physiology, his composition, that dares to preserve rights at any cost. Rights are absolute. They are not contingent. They are not in effect when they're convenient and ineffective when they're not. Rights are absolute. Trump seems to get that. Somewhat. He seems to get that. Biden just doesn't. Biden rejects the premise. No, he doesn't. Yes, he does. If he didn't, then why the... I can't curse. Why in the world would he have Kamala Harris, a lady who vowed to forcefully exterminate all private health insurance and replace it with a public option? Actually, not a public option, a public mandate. Because look, there's no option in that. Plus, who the hell would choose to have government health care when they can get something better? Public option, that's a messed up term. Anyway, if Joe Biden cared about rights preservation, why in the world would he continually categorize individuals as nothing more than their identities? Why in the world would this guy continuously, without any shame, without any faith, without any kind of prudence? I need to understand, if he cares about rights preservation, why would he vow to reap the pocketbooks and the resources of people making over $400,000 as if they are some kind of villain? As if they are some kind of evildoer, some malefactor, because they decided to go and use that essence of America to get rich. They decided to go produce value for... Why would if Joe Biden cared about rights preservation, If Joe Biden cared about that trifecta of rights articulated by John Locke and enshrined in the Constitution, that every man, according to the Secretaries of Government, in John Locke's words, shall be invested and shall be secured in his health, liberty, and possessions, his life, liberty, and possessions, property rights, the right to freedom, the right to life, all that bound up into that divine trifecta. If Joe Biden gave a damn about that, then why the hell would he try to reap our possessions? My Lord. It just frustrates me when I see very clearly intelligent people not being honest. Well, I just can't support Donald Trump because okay, that's good. Okay, that's fine. But can you support the guy? You claim to be a libertarian, but can you support the guy who in every single way violates the precepts, not only libertarianism, but human existence through his policies? And the party that vows to do so, that vows to stack the institutions that were meant to constrain a government that was seeking to do that with their political ideologues, that vows to ensure that there is a universal, systemized healthcare takeover, that vows to do all this kind of philosophically corrupt stuff, which does not play forth to your freedom. How can you support them? I would respect you more, Mr. Libertarian who voted for Biden, if you didn't vote for anyone. Or if you voted for Joe Jorgensen. I would respect you more if you were true to the tenets of your ideology. I would respect you more, my Lord. I would respect you more if you actually thought about what you said in a critical manner and then presented the opposite opinions of what you were saying in that critical manner while you were making your ballad, your ode to Joe Biden. I would respect you more. But I don't respect you people. You can vote for Biden or Trump. I love you either way. But if you vote for either of them, and you don't really examine what they stand for, especially Biden, and you pretend like Biden's going to defend human freedom, that Biden cares about rights, when he has promised targeted shutdowns of the economy again, when he has promised possible mandates, when he has promised obtrusive tax laws, when he has promised when he is just hitting you with every single salvo. Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, we're coming up on a break. We're going to try to work through this on our Election Day special as we continue on. Man, I'm getting fired up because this is very important, my friends. All right, guys, it's very important. It's very important. And if wherever you're listening to us at, the Fed by Ravens Network, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I need you to subscribe, I need you to share, I need you to like, do whatever you can, because this message is dynamite. It is fire. It is that fire that Prometheus birthed upon the early humans and the myth, which gave them the ability to see clearly and understand things. So support that fire, support us, please like, watch, subscribe, review, everything. Alright guys, we'll be back right after this short break. Okay guys, 1 second. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back from our break. Thank you so much for tuning in to us on the Fed by Ravens Media Network, or on YouTube, or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora. iHeartRadio will be carrying us very soon. I'm working on that right now. Regardless, whatever platform you are in, whatever platform you are on, per se, thank you for listening to the sound of my voice. And I need you to, before you even listen to anything else, I need you to share the sound of my voice. I need you to share it share the YouTube video. I need you to share the Apple Podcast link. I need you to share the Spotify link. I need you to leave reviews on my Apple Podcast page. The best way, my friends, for me to get my message out there and for me to blaze forth the light of political fire and illumination that America was founded upon and by which our freedoms are constituted is for you to help me. So if you leave a review and you just say a nice few kind words about my message and my product, my value and everything, that'd be very nice. Because we're going to change the conversation. We're going to change how we think about things. We're going to change the goalpost. We're going to change the methodology. But as Descartes said, the method by which we understand the world. We're going to change it. We're going to change it. We're going to revolutionize it. And we're going to make sure that when we do change it, fruit floweth forth. Fruit floweth forth. All right. Not poisonous fruit. Americans have been eating poisonous fruit for the past, I can't even tell you how long, how many charlatans have been arising to power and the poisonous fruit we've just been eating and lapping it up. Not poisonous fruit, but fruit, beneficial fruit. That will perhaps allow us to lick some of the wounds that we've experienced over this year and over the past 4 years, over the past 8 years, over the past 10 years. Really, the 2010s were such a chaotic and erratic decade for the American experiment. Whether it be our involvement in illegal wars in Libya, whether it be the killings of Trayvon Martin and everything, which spurred these false ideas that African American, well, didn't spur them, gave new life to these false ideas that African Americans are unduly and actively hunted by the police. Whether it be our bombing of Syria a few years ago when the president took office, I mean, whether it be the revelations about the NSA's prison program and how they're spying and collecting metadata. Oh, it's just metadata. No, it's actually, they can actually discern things from metadata on American citizens without due process or warrant. Whatever calamity, whatever calamitous occurrence that violates rights. I mean, the past decade has just been chock full of them. And you're kind of seeing it bleed into 2020. You're seeing it bleed into that. So, regardless of what you think or what your political disposition is, I think those things are good. Well, whatever you think. We exist in an objective world, in an objective reality. There are things that are objectively proven. There are things that we can use to objectively measure reality. Right is right, wrong is wrong. I can detect that. I can detect that through reason. I can detect that through empiricism. I can detect those things which exist in reality. Plato said, disagreement is indicative of ignorance. You can think that Plato's wrong, but if you accept the premise that there is an objective truth, then there can be no disagreement on that truth. The question is, what is that truth? That's the process. That's the process that disagreement gets it closer to find the truth. So I don't care, what you think in your own mind. You need to prove it by reason and weigh it against reality. How about that? All right. I'm going to shut that nonsense down right there. Well, I think what those things happened, those were good things. Obama bombing Libya and leaving the country in disarray for years afterwards, where it still has had several provisional governments and people are dying on the streets, not able to have a stable government, because Obama decided to go bomb Libya extrajudicially with no congressional approval. Those are good things. Okay, well, you can believe what you want, but reality says otherwise, brother, sister, mother, father, son, whatever you are, whoever you are in relation to whatever. So the big question about this election, I just see this blaring across news screens and news feeds. Which way are the blacks going to vote? Which way are the Hispanics going to vote? Which way are those white suburban women? I saw the president last night in his last speech in Grand Rapids, Michigan around 12 a.m. saying, I love white suburban women. What way are white suburban women going to vote? I say, why do you care? First of all, you cannot try to unify divisions and then in the same breath as unification begin to classify people into neat categories that can be prodded and understood and pushed towards a certain aim through political catnip. Human beings are not machines. We are not cats. We are not animals. We have a tripartite soul, as Aristotle said. We have a higher understanding of the world. We have a minimal floor and a maximal ceiling, as Aristotle said. We have things that we can go beyond, so we can become more than human, and things we can go below that we are not exactly expressing our humanity fully. So I don't understand what you're trying to say when you say, well, which way are women going to vote? Why do you care? You shouldn't care. How about that? Don't care. Care about you and yours. And care about Americans as individuals. Do not assume someone votes a certain way because of their race, because of their skin color. This is the entire point, the entire premise of the walk away movement, was it not? Oh, guys, come on. The entire premise of the walk away movement was that we are not going to be defined in our political life by our identity, by our immutable characteristics. These will not define how we think. And amen to that. But every time people who profess to be allies of the walkaway movement do this kind of chicanery, this kind of wizardry, you are fighting the principle of what they're saying and doing. Stop it. I don't care how women are going to vote. I don't know how women are going to vote. I don't care how black people are going to vote. I don't know if they're going to vote. Well, Christian trends show us. I don't care about trends. Trends can be broken. Trends and traditions are merely guides and signposts for how things worked before. They are not indictments or measures of future certainty. Let me say that again to you. Trends or traditions are merely signs of things that have worked in the past. They do not confer future certainty. Unless those traditions are predicated upon immutable principles. So, for example, this is one of the reasons why I say I have conservative sensibilities. America is predicated upon an immutable principle of human freedom. Human freedom is a fact. I am free, and that is as evident as my ability to breathe, as my ability to see, as my ability to walk, as my ability to be bound by the laws of gravitation. It is an objective principle of reality that I cannot escape from, no matter how hard I fight, no matter how many logical scenarios or illogical scenarios I try to construct in my head. These are laws that exist. I am free, and I can do nothing about it. It is inviolable, it is immutable, and it is certain. It is inevitable. My freedom is inevitable. I am free. And so a tradition that understands my freedom and tries to mold political frameworks around preserving my freedom is necessarily a system or a tradition that will be long-lasting. But a tradition that says, well, you know, black people have always done this, therefore this. Oh, hell no. No. That's illogical, number one, because it assumes that someone is doing something because of their race. No, I think human beings are more complex than that. Human beings obviously consider, we have reason. Even if we don't exercise it to its full capacity, we have a set of concepts in our head that we are exposed to the natural world, that we are constantly considering, regardless of whether it be someone who doesn't have education, someone who has little education, but they still have concepts in their head. They still know about intuition and survival and things of that sort, and they still have their environment in their head. Reason exists in all platforms. It exists in all settings. Even if it is exercised better in some other settings, reason exists. Reason is reason. Reason is reason. Its reason exists. It exists, absolutely. So, yeah, I just don't understand that. So it's logical. It's sort of an attempt to contradict the rule of reason. But also, it's not even diagnostic. Because a diagnostic method of understanding the world tries to get you to understand something. Okay, saying a black voter is going to vote this way is not necessarily diagnostic. Because it doesn't expand the breadth of its statement. The statement doesn't have large breadth in between it. The statement is a very limited statement by necessity of how it's phrased. And third, it's just presumptuous as well. So illogical, presumptuous, and non-diagnostic, that's a trifecta. Let's tell you, hey, we don't do this. But everyone's like, okay, who's going to vote this way? And Lil Pump, all right, you guys probably don't know who this is. Lil Pump is a rapper that appeals to a lot of folks in my generation, I was never into that kind of stuff. I enjoy classic rock and classic rhythm and blues. Marvin Gaye, Patti LaBelle, Elton John, Billy Joel, Rod Stewart. Those are my kind of people. Van Morrison. Paul Simon. I was listening to Paul Simon the other day. Slip Sliding Away. Slip Sliding Away. I won't torture you with my singing, but that's what I was listening to the other day. Beautiful song. That's my kind of music. Bob Dylan. Walking Down the Highway. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man. Where have you been, my blue-eyed son? A hard rain's gonna fall. It's alright, Ma. I'm only crying. I'm only sighing. A line in that Bob Dylan song is actually quite powerful. He says, evil speaks of evil fates. Teachers teach that knowledge waits. Can lead to $100 plates. Goodness hides behind its gates. But even the President of the United States sometimes must have to stand naked. In Joe Biden's case, he's already naked. If he becomes president, he's already standing naked completely. There's nothing clothing him in a conceptual sense. But yeah, I don't care what black voters do. I don't care what white voters do. I care about the principles espoused by either of the candidates. That is what we must focus on tonight, guys. Don't focus on, when you watch the election coverage, oh, what is the black vote going to do? What is the white vote going to do? Oh, what are women going to do? Oh, what is Arizona going to do? Oh, what is Pennsylvania going to do? What is Florida going to do? Don't care. You shouldn't care. If you're a pollster, first of all, pollsters need to create a movement where they move away from those kind of demographic phrases. I don't think they are very conducive to understanding the truth of our political situation whatsoever. But people use polls as a mirror, as a prism, both a mirror and a prism, into our political realities. And that's not a good thing, because again, they mislead you. They are built upon illogical presumptions. They're built upon presumptions just in general. And they're built upon a non-diagnostic quality. And when you can't diagnose something, how the hell can you tell what it really is? No, we need to move away from these methodologies. We need to move away. So Nate Silver, if you're listening to this, he's not, but if he is, please move away from this kind of phraseology, because it's not helping anyone. It's not helping anyone at all. It's not true. All you need to worry about tonight is what principles are going to manifest in January when whoever wins tonight goes into office. However, we do live in a very imperfect reality. And so I'm happy to announce to you, my loyal viewers, that I will be doing a live stream tonight. And there will be a YouTube link in the show notes. Or on my Facebook or Twitter pages. Which if you're not following me on those, you need to follow me already. At Official C. Watson on all those. My Facebook page is at Official C. Watson. My Twitter page, at Official C. Watson. My Instagram page, at Official C. Watson. So just follow me there and you'll see the link, okay? I'll be doing election day coverage live stream. We'll be looking a lot at the numbers. We'll be examining things, analyzing things, but it's going to be different. If you want to go and get your everyday average news, go to NBC, CNN, ABC, and they'll have their lemmings on giving you distilled information about very complex issues. But if you want that fire of truth to hit your head and just blaze through your consciousness and just give you a new idea of reality, then please come listen to me and my friend Carson Allworth. Great guy. And you should subscribe to his channel too, by the way. At Carson Allworth YouTube. He makes some great content, some brilliant content. He's a brilliant guy too. I think he's one of the better producers on YouTube today. So help him, subscribe to him, like his channel. But yes, that's what my coverage is going to be about. It's going to be primarily about that kind of stuff. And you guys may wonder, why does he talk like this? Why does he act like this? Well, simply because this is who I am. This is how I understand the world. And this is how I think you should understand the world too. If you want more technical stuff, more number stuff, okay, go listen to Nate Silver. Well, good guy. Go listen to him. But Christian Watson is going to give you something that is unfortunately absent from a lot of our political discourse today. Unfortunately. I'll tell you a little bit about the violence that we're seeing from this election. So a Trump caravan in Texas surrounded a Joe Biden campaign bus, and tried ramming it off the road. A man today in one of the states entered a polling place with a gun. Well, apparently he was brandishing the gun. There's nothing wrong with having a gun in a polling place, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. Second Amendment is absolute. The Second Amendment is absolute. There's nothing wrong with having a gun in a polling place. But he was like brandishing it in a very violent way, apparently. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, there are several cities across the country boarding up in anticipation of chaos and enmity. And absolute enmity. And I can't, these words can be hard for me to pronounce. Enmity. It's a word that I got picked up from John Locke's Second Treatise of Government, which basically just means a continuous hostile state. So we're all bracing for this stuff. And the question that we're asking is, why are things so hostile? Well, as I mentioned, you guys don't help. Most of you guys don't help it. Most of you guys don't help it by dehumanizing your political opponents. You don't help it by viewing people as demographics and not as individuals. You don't help it by reducing your rights and reducing the ability for you to live to who the president is. You don't help it. When you feed these ideas of defeatism, you will be defeated. But if you feed different ideas and you try to manifest them through your actions, well, you stand a higher chance, not a certainty, but a higher chance at actually doing what you want to do. So and I made a video about this on YouTube, my YouTube channel, called 4 Things Conservatives Need to Do If Joe Biden Wins. Because look, I do think that if Joe Biden does win, there is a clear and present danger to the American experiment, and that it would be consequentially devastating for rights preservation. If he gets into office and there is a tripartite democratic control of legislature, that would be devastating. It would be scary. I would be scared. But it's not the end. Americans under both parties have sustained tremendous rights violations to their overall composition and their overall political realities, and we've survived. I mean, the Obama administration was literally spying on American citizens. Barack Obama signed a provision in the NDAA 2012, which provided for the indefinite detention of anyone who he suspects, not who he can show through evidence, but who the president suspects of terrorism. Barack Obama was wont to drone strike American citizens without due process on foreign soil. George Bush signed the Patriot Act. George Bush put in the DHS, which is responsible for a lot of these calamities. You have to stop being afraid to call out everyone. Look, I am a libertarian with heavy conservative sensibilities. I love America. I love freedom. I love individualism. But you have to stop being afraid to call a spade, an eye, a tooth a tooth. I don't care if your party is in control. I don't care. Look, it's about principles. It's about principles. So yes, my point is this, though. America has endured a lot of rights violations. And I am most certainly sure, I am positively sure, actually, as a matter of fact, not a fiction, but as a matter of fact, that we have survived them, and we will survive a Biden administration. We will. Because human freedom is not violable. You cannot violate my freedom. As Roosevelt Lane in The Discovery of Freedom said this brilliant, you can't violate my freedom. It's inviolable. You can inhibit me. You can try to stop me, but you can't violate. My freedom is a divine quality, a part of my human being. You can't do anything to that. You cannot. You have to kill me before my freedom can be violated. And even then, my personal belief is that we are free in the spirit. Well, I'm not going to preach to you, but man, we are free in the spirit as children and sons of God. And whoever God is to you, I mean, for me, God is Jesus Christ, of course. But whoever God is for you, we're free in the Spirit, my brothers and sisters. We are free in the Spirit. But even as a human beings, as material processes, we're free here too. Because we have a spirit inside of us. A soul, as the ancient Greeks would say. And people, now they didn't believe that it was a spirit. They believed that it was just qualities of our human being that makes us who we are. But I believe the soul encompasses those qualities and the spirit. So, do not worry about the violence. Worry about how you respond to the violence. Because how you respond to the violence could possibly cause there to be more violence. So a whimper of violence here and there, if it is responded to in an unwise fashion, could become a maelstrom of violence. We don't want maelstroms of violence coming in and destroying and consuming us. We don't. So just be careful about how you think and how you consider things tonight on Election Day, November 3rd, 2020. Just be careful, my brothers and sisters. Because look, I love you. I want you to be all right. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be happy. I want everything in life to be fulfilling. I want everything in your existence to be fulfilling. And guess what? I believe it can be. But you have to have the correct mindset going into tonight. Be rational. Be calm. Be sane. Be happy. Shout for joy. Even if your candidate, whoever you, Joe Biden or Donald Trump, I don't care, or Joe Jorgensen, whoever. Be happy. Be happy that you have the freedom to even get to choose who you want to represent the government of your country. Be happy that you have your inherent human freedom, which allows you to even be happy yourself in the first place, to have an emotional diversity. Be happy that whatever the result is tonight, you have the ability to make it inconsequential by sticking to you and yours and your community and looking inward as opposed to outward. Be happy. Don't worry, my friends. Be happy. As the famous Bobby McFerrin said, be happy. Be happy and be full of joy. Be happy. All right, my friends. All right, guys. So if you can, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Please leave me reviews on Apple Podcasts. Please leave me ratings on Apple Podcasts. Please leave me comments on YouTube. Please leave me subscriptions on YouTube. Do whatever you can, my friends, because we need to get this message out here. But above all else, my friends, please, fundamentally and eternally, I want you to stay pensive. Bye-bye.